Welcome, 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 holy ones. I love that song. I don't know if everyone could hear it when they were coming in, but can't stop that feeling. And a lot of you probably are like, yes, we know you love it. It's in your story on Instagram a lot. But I love it. It has such a beautiful upbeat. Once you want to dance when you hear it. I do. You want to dance when you hear it. And so welcome, welcome, welcome. Was adding a few more in here. Oopsie, here we go. All right. And I have this light sword on the wall today. Do you see this? This beautiful sword of light here. So beautiful. And so thank you all for coming into this space, and we're recording, so we'll have the video for anyone who's not able to be here live with us. And if you want to return to this as well, we're going to go over a lot of really cool things today. And I'm so grateful to see you. Some I haven't seen in a while. Hello, beautiful one. Mwah. Hello to you all. I'm so grateful to spend my Saturdays with you. All right, so we're going to jump right in here, and we're going to talk about a lot of things. So we're talking about the new field, all right? We're talking about our beautiful new field, and you are a new human, so why wouldn't you be on a new field, right? We talked about last week, or I think it was last week. Yes, okay. I do so many different spaces. I have to try to remember if it was this particular one. Oh, thank you for loving me. Thank you for loving me as my mind runs and finds itself in these spaces. So remember we talked about the sports analogy and the game that you're playing and wearing the right equipment to play the game adequately. Like you wouldn't wear a football outfit to try to hit a golf ball, right? Wouldn't be optimal. You need to have that movement and swing, and the football outfit, you know, the pads and all very restrictive of that flow. So remember that as we're talking about everything we're talking about here today, and we're talking about some specifics for hands-on experiential everyday usage, if you will, as we're going through the expansion of this concept of the new field. So even though we give it a visual of a sports field, and we've done other things with it as well, an ocean, a wave within the ocean, all these different spaces, but you are allowing the understanding of your field, which is you, which is your beliefs, your personality, your energy vibration in all of the ways that you express and be you. That is your field. And your field is interwoven completely with the field. So you're not separate. And the field, okay, is source. It's that which all is and comes from. And there are increments vibrationally in the field of everything you could possibly imagine and then some. So you have every space of fear, every space of love, and every space in between, all right? And as you are being your field, as you are being your wave, right, your space of it all, you are moving energetically through your vibration. That is called alignment with the spaces, the limitless spaces available in the field. So that is the epitome of the understanding of creation and manifesting your life, really, right? So, you know, we've gone through the spaces of humanity where we made vision boards and we used Post-its and affirmations and meditations and feel the vibration and be the space you want to be and all this, you know, and that all matters. It's all tools, it's all applicable. But what I'm asking you to do right here is owning the understanding in your being. And I don't care how much you own. I don't care if you're able to own a 1% of the understanding or if you're able to own 100% of it. I don't care, because they're both valuable in ways I can't explain to you. But when you allow yourself to really look at that visual of you as a wave of vibration that has a human format, it is moving energetically through this vast, limitless field of energy of all potential, and ever expanding potential. It's not the field that is ever changing. That's another big space of this. The field is ever changing. And really, you are as well. I am as well. But we're just coming into a knowing of that. We're just starting to realize we're not made, designed, created to be one space of understanding or one belief or one personality trait for our entire existence in this now. We're not. You're not. I'm not. We should be changing. We should be different. We should, I mean, I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. If anybody lives 100 and so years and they never change, God bless. That's beautiful. That's their experience. I'm not saying it in a judgmental way. I'm saying it in a freeing way. Like, you have the ability to, at any given moment, be different in any way you want. And you are very healthy in that state, all right? You're very healthy in the state of flow. That's what that is. It's the state of flow, all right? Okay. So I have so much that I want to share with you today. So I don't usually write things down, but I did write some points down so I could keep moving very quickly. So if you want to write these notes, this is what my paper looks like. Split your paper in half. And on one side, you're going to write separate self. At the top of the paper, separate self. And then on the other side, directly on the same line, but just figuring left and right, you're going to write connected self. All right? Now, we're going to talk about this for a little bit here. The concept of what is a separated self and what is a connected self. And this is something you guys have already learned, but these are words that are helping us go deeper into these understandings and really begin to implement at more masterful levels. So the separate self is the old field, which means it's the old vibrations, it's the old alignments, it's the egoic states, it's the knee-jerk reactive spaces that feel as if something's being done to you, or you're not being loved or heard or validated or whatever it is. It's also, this is a big one, I love this one, it's stuck presence. You know how we say presence is a powerful thing, to have presence, to be present in the space, not all over the place, worrying about what you're going to do in 5 minutes or worrying about what you did 5 minutes ago, but being present, right, is a PowerPoint. Well, there is a form of presence that is disempowering, and that is called stuck presence. So if you are making any notes here, the separated self, underneath it, you write old field, then you write old vibrational alignments, egoic beliefs, like what's being done to me, that, and it's all right. I'm going to talk you through how you can still have these spark moments, I call them, which are spaces that can feel like you're on the old field, but you're not, you're going to maintain your new field. Okay, well, we're going to get there. So the egoic beliefs and then stuck presence, okay? Stuck presence. So that's going to be on your left side of the paper on the separated self. Now on the other side, you've got the connected self, okay? So you have the new field, right? That underneath there, new field. The connected self is on the new field because it understands itself as part of the field. That's why it's called connected self. It knows it's part of the all, which assists the being in not continuing to run the egoic, knee-jerk spaces of the separated self, because it's coming from the connected self, which knows it doesn't respond that way because it doesn't have that vantage point. All right, I'm going to keep moving, and then we'll dig a little more into these spaces because it's so rich. All right. So you have connected self right under that, new field right under that, new vibrational alignments. You're not, if you are connected, you're not running everything you used to run. You're in the space of yourself that is flowing, ever expanding, opening into the next spaces of yourself. And that's all in that new field, connected self. And now on that same column there, you can write in some of these are key points that a connected self functions in. And the key points that a connected self, you as you being connected, yes, not separated out, and it's a choice, yes? Neutrality. Okay, so neutrality is key to flow state and presence, but it's flow state presence. Remember we talked about stuck presence in the old field. And that's when we talked about this before, when we were talking about living water, and we talked about water that goes down the river and hits the boulder and gets stuck in a circular pattern of cycling around because it's kind of stuck, right? It's not continuing to move around and flow and continue on. That's stuck presence. That's old field. That's where we were. We don't live there anymore. It can happen now and then, but you just won't have enough resonance for it to stick, and you're going to find yourself popping right out of that. And that's energy. That's you. It's embedded in you. It is you moving. And so flow state presence is the opposite of stuck presence. You are being present in both ways, but one gets stuck. So it holds its presence in a space that's not changing, not shifting. And it's all right, because many times when that happens, it's because you're trying to hear something that information is available in that space, right? So you're kind of getting stuck there because you haven't heard it yet. Once you hear it, meaning process it energetically, you vibrationally come out of that stuck presence and you move into flow presence again. Flow presence is, for me, I lack of better words, I'm using the words of humanity and in the best way I can, please. Flow presence is what the most pristine state of presence, if you will, because true presence is always brand new. So flow state presence means you're never getting stuck in any space of it at all. You're just allowing the next space. You're just moving into the next understanding, alignment, experience, and so forth. Being on the connected self, being that space of you, the connected self, the new field, neutrality is key, as also you're going to find detached compassion is very helpful. Many of you already know this. You've talked to me on the side about certain things that'll come up, and we'll talk about letting other people have their experience while you're having yours, not needing them to have it your way, not having to have you feel bad you don't have it their way. That's detached compassion and allowance. And again, you are keying into flow state presence. You're not getting stuck with somebody somewhere. There's a lot here that we could just really talk about in depth. And maybe we would come back right here, but I really want to get everything to you, and then we'll go over some of these spaces more. So it may seem like I'm moving really fast, but you'll be able to come back to the video, and you'll be able to also write me on anything you want to understand better. Detached compassion, there's a point to this that needs to be understood. That means if you have detached compassion, does that mean you don't love them? You're detached, you're not connected. No, no, no. It just means you're detached from the drama of the connection. That's all it means. You're detached from the drama of the connection. And you are extremely connected, if you will, in with them in the sense of love. Because love does not have judgment. Love is neutrality. And love does not get stuck trying to prove something, right? Love is neutrality, and love allows. So there's no need to fix them or have them think like us, or do like you, or be like us, whatever that is. Love is, and the connected self doesn't have those types of feelings because it's connected to the all. It is a understanding of the flow of all. So space of one, you are, okay, I have to reread my notes sometimes because I even go, what was I saying? But and then you're hearing what I'm saying. You might be saying, what is she saying? But all right, so when you are the connected self, you are the space of the one in the unity understanding of consciousness. Really, this is like, do unto others as you will have done unto you. Love thy neighbor as thyself. The greatest of these is love. And there's so many more proverbs and teachings on this. But yet this is what the connected self understands. This is what the connected self lives from. And that's what you're doing. You're on a new playing field. You're coming in at a new vibrational alignment. You're ever expanding. You're in a flow state. Yes, yes, yes. I acknowledge there are moments when it feels as if you're not on a new field and you're seeing everything play out the way it used to play. And everyone's different. Everyone's on their own journey and in a different space of it. So I want to kind of remember to allow space for all here. When you feel as if you're on a new field and you're coming in as the connected self, and then you have a moment that feels disconnected or it feels separated out, feels really personal. Remember that term I used before when I said, if it feels too personal, you're underneath it. You left your wholeness. If it gets too personal and in your face, then you've left your wholeness, you've left your source space, you've left your understanding as being the all, and you've allowed yourself to take on the old belief structure or the personality trait of something being done to you, of it inflicted upon you, of being separated from your set space of source. And so now you feel like overwhelmed, frustrated. It feels daunting and big because you've moved into the mindset or the alignment of the separated self. That's what the separated self is. It's separated. Therefore, the energy feels as if it's alone. Separated means alone, yes? And so then the space that the being is dealing with can feel so daunting and big. But the key factor here is to own in your being. Grab a hold of it, take it in, know that it was already there to begin with. I'm not giving you something you don't have. I'm helping you remember something you've always had. And you lean in to the wholeness with your trust, with your faith, and you remember who you are. Yes, yes. Do you know how many times I had to remind myself who I was? In the very beginning, I kept hearing that term. 2006. I kept hearing, remember who you are. Yes, it did sound that way. And I didn't know what that meant when I first started hearing it. I was like, remember who I am? I don't know what the heck you're talking about, right? And so I started this journey of figuring out who I was first, because I really felt like that was a part of remembering it, right? To figure it out, right? And I realized how far I had taken myself away from God, source, creator, whatever words you're using here. But I had really separated myself out, and I felt so alone. And I felt so tired and exhausted and beaten and battered. And everything in my life was reflecting it pretty much, my health and so forth. And so I kept hearing, remember who you are. And I started this journey of, well, who am I? And I started really scrutinizing all my belief structures, everything I was doing, the way I was raising my kids, the way I was being a wife, the way I was a daughter or a sister, who I was in societal structure, what did I want for my life, just like every single space of my being, my life, right? And I realized that it was really, for me personally, a lot of the spaces felt empty. I was like, oh, I don't know. Why did I choose this to begin with? As far as like, I was feeling like there had to be more. Maybe that's a better word. That the way things were playing out in life in general, in society, in politics and religion, and every part of everything I was experiencing, I just knew there had to be more. But that was, in my understanding now, that was my separated self looking out of the window at the field, not understanding that yet, right? But just having this echo within my being saying, wake up. There's more. This space that you're in is not it. It's a space, but it's not it. It's not all of it, right? It's a space. And so I realized in that, for me, that there was so much more. And like, I know a lot more than I knew then, but at the same time, I know there's always more. I know there's even more, beyond what I know now and what I live with and experience now. But to me, that's flow state presence. When I mentioned flow state presence, yes, presence is the ability to be fully in the now. And flow state presence acknowledges the way in which you're ever expanding. So the presence of every now is always moving into the next space of now, if you will, and at the same time being now. When we move into this understanding of ourselves as not separate, and we regain the understanding of ourselves as a connected self, we are then living in a state of coherence. So the energy within our being and the energy within our experiential spaces, relationships, the field, all start to move into a coherent flow with one another, okay? So you have the coherent flow going on within the wave itself, you, and then you have the coherent interactive flow of the outer field, limitless waves, and this space of it all that you are. So you get this coherence, and it's a resonance. So it's a vibration, and it actually it moves as you move. And it is how you are moving through, connecting with, interacting with the all, the field. And when one is in separate self, that coherency isn't there. So that movement with the field is very chaotic in a sense. It's very whip you around, where one day you can feel very aligned, and then the next day you can feel like everything fell apart or something. But you are bringing yourself messages in all those spaces for sure. But knowing this understanding of this concept of you, it gives you the ability to implement from that vantage point. Why is that important? Because it's a vibrational understanding. Everything is energy. If you're implementing from this vibration point at some degree, whatever that is for you, you are implementing from a state of coherency. You are implementing from a state of presence in a flow, which means it's not attached, it's neutral, it's coming from love. And that is an optimal alignment of energy. And it, even in the spaces in which the connected self might experience itself as separate, because those spaces can still come in as the being is expanding and ascending. They come in at clearer and shorter intervals. You have more efficiency for processing them because of the vantage point you anchored in this understanding of yourself as connected self. Does that make sense to you? Because of that knowing, this knowing, because of it being implemented from you, energetically, you are now shifting the way in which you are you. So as you are being you, this wave of energy, and you are interacting with all of the field that is potential, right? That is in existence. And it's always expanding. It is always having additional spaces of it coming on. Because guess what? All of the individual waves, you, me, and all these other creative spaces of being, they're all expanding, right? They're all learning and growing and having these new spaces of us, of them coming online, and we're all the field. So you just can't box this thing up. You can't package it and say it's just this, that, and the other. It's infinite beyond understanding. And that's all right. Let it be. We don't need to have everything figured out, right? These keys are information. Information is power. Power can be implemented from love, which can create a very beautiful, coherent state of existence. Now, when you are understanding these spaces of you, you are being human, right? You're in human form right now. Everybody here can agree on that. And by understanding this, under the space of the connected self, you are also allowing the higher self of you, if you will, to be in alignment, that coherent flow with your human self. And this would then be a realignment of all of the spaces of you. Now, the reason why I say that is because this is inevitably unfolding. It is like if the most powerful boulder were rolling down a steep mountain and there was nothing in its way, it is going to continue to move in that momentum flow, yes? And it is going where it is going, period. You are that. You are that in the sense of you are this grand momentum of conscious expansion. And you are in motion, and you are only going to become more aware of yourself. You are only going to become more conscious of the way in which you implement your energy, and you are only going to become more aligned and coherent. You are only going to be able to navigate with more and more neutrality. It is only going to continue to go that way. Can you have moments where you think that's a bunch of BS and she's crazy? Yes, they can show up. But like I said, you're going to get better and better and more efficient at the mastery level of you realizing what is happening and how you are navigating the flow of what is happening. All right. So this is all in motion, period. This is all in motion, period. And it's beautiful and powerful. One thing I want to add in, because it made me smile this morning, and I hope it's relayed in the way in which my being is working to convey it here, but Julia wrote into the chat and she said a comment off of the Goddess course about my class and how she likes when I get a little out there. And I did get a little out there. I'm usually a bit always out there, but I love that, right? And I thought about the term out there and I thought that's actually really perfect, really perfect, because if you think about us as a wave in the individuality of ourselves and having our own individualized experience spaces, right? But we are the source space of the all, the whole field, right? And having this now space and allowing itself to expand through this now space, right? And I thought, when I talk like this and I go over these spaces, I am connecting to the out there, if you will, where the origination source space is. And that space of ourselves is communicating with us, right? Isn't that fantastic? So even like the terminology of, like when she talks like that and she gets a bit out there, I was like, yes, yes, that's awesome. So I was seeing it as that connective point out there with the all, and allowing the space of presence to be so pristine and ever expanding in flow state, coherent, that the source space can speak and be heard and flow within all of the various spaces of itself. Yes? All right, so I had to bring that in really quickly because I thought that was so beautiful. Okay, now here are some points. I'm keeping going here, guys. Let's see. What is this one? All right. Oh, this is a really good one. I really, really like this one. So here, these are like tools of ascension. Do you want to write any notes? This is where I would title it, Tools of Ascension. All right. So first off, I've been saying this for a long time. Some of you know this is like probably, if people were to say, do you know A.L. Garris? And you say yes, and they say a word she always says. Say what, if you only could pick one word, what would be this word, you know? And I have a lot of words I say a lot, but I think most of you would say allow, allow. And so a tool of ascension is to allow. And that's where that, you know, space of flow, neutrality, non-attachment, that's allowing, right? That's allowing. And here's a new one. I don't usually say this. I have said it in some of my meditations, but relax. That's a tool of ascension. Relax, right? Let go of the grip. If you feel the grip starting to come in, I feel the grip starting to come in sometimes, you know? I have a space that I am experiencing, and I can feel my being, the spaces of the self that used to live in separation. I can feel it wanting to grip because that's what it is used to doing in that type of experience, right? But I bring in my connected self and I whisper gently to my separate self, if you will, all right? And I say, you are safe. You are loved. Allow. So what I say to you, I say to me, right? And those are tools of ascension, because you are allowing your connected self, which is your higher self. It really is. You know, people say, I want to talk to my higher self. I want to hear from my higher self. Well, listen, you're there, you're trying to talk to you. You really are. So lean in and allow, relax, let go a little bit of the grip, relax, take some deep breaths if you need to, depending upon the situation and the space, and then really allow yourself to remember who you are. You are connected to source space. You want to say God, say God. You want to say goddess, say goddess. They don't care what words you use. They don't. Yeah. It's the understanding of your heart that matters. It's the flow of your energy that matters. And so when that comes in at love, and that comes in at neutrality, and that comes in at flow, that's optimal. Trusting yourself. This is huge. That's another really big thing I've been saying for over 2 years. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. And you know, many of you know and have worked with me in the energy modality I teach, ACASMA Quantum Energy. And one of the biggest things I teach in that is to trust yourself, and you cannot mess it up, right? Right? You know that. So this is applicable for everyday life, for being you, being. That's emanating in every way that you be, right? The way you talk, the way you walk, the way you carry yourself, the way you have your relationships, your job, the way you eat, the way you dance, the way you sleep. Everything, every part of you is the beingness of you. And trusting yourself is going to allow you to find more of yourself, to flow with more of yourself. And it's, you know, I get it. Societal structure is given in such a way where you're actually kind of taught not to trust yourself. And you're taught to trust everything that's going on around you, or the doctor or the teacher or the pastor or the parent or whatever, but you're never taught to trust you, you know? And yet you are connected in the connected self. You are connected into the source of all. So every single thing you could ever need to know, feel, do, be is already in you through the connection of your wholeness. Your wholeness. You know, separation is a tool of control. It really is. If you can make someone feel like they are separated out from others, different from others, not as same as others, not as good as others, and you do this with groups as well, when you do that, you gain control of those people or that person. When those people or that person realize they're not separate, they're completely they're completely interconnected, completely. And when you lean in and you trust yourself, it's also about being able to be comfortable with not knowing. And that's a really big one, because trust, right? The word trust, it's like faith. It's like leaning in and believing in something, even if you're not positive you know everything about that something. You're trusting that it's going to go that route, right? You're trusting it's going to be that way, unfold that way. And being comfortable in not knowing is truly knowing. I know that sounds so freaky weird probably, but really, listen, it's like this key to a door of you that you've been waiting to find. And the key is to trust yourself so much that you don't need to know. That you don't need to know the specifics. You don't need to know who God is exactly, or where you came from exactly, or why you're here exactly, but you can trust with everything in you that you are in the optimal alignment of love, period. Whether you know the specifics or not, you're in the optimal alignment of love, period. And when you come from that space of trust, even with the unknown, and you trust you're in that optimal alignment of love, period, you actually then are the optimal alignment of love, period. That's how you own that. That's how you be that. That's how you align that, is to lean in with full trust and faith, whatever word you want to use there, and come from that. Be that vibration. Anything you want to experience, resonate it. Anything you want to experience, resonate it, vibrate it, envision it, imagine it, feel it. That is how the field works, and you're part of the field. You're not a separate thing off on your own. You can separate yourself out. We talked about that all morning, and what it would feel like, but it's an illusion. You're still connected. You're just suffering from the resonance of separation, because you're being the resonance of separation. You're leaning in and trusting you're separate. Whatever you trust in, you're going to feel. You trust you're separate, feeling separate, alone. Why did I even come to this life? I mean, like, I know I've had those spaces in the past, you know, I'm not trying to make fun of them. I relate, right? But if you're leaning in and trusting that you don't need to know every single factor, and you are one with source space, you are one with God, you are one with love, you are love, you're leaning into that, that's the resonance you're going to feel and experience. It's just how energy works. There's no other way around it, period. And it's actually really beautifully simplistic. We make it harder with the mind, but only from the programming we've been given. It's not your fault. You've been taught to fear everything. You've been taught to see yourself as separate. You've been taught to judge everybody else that doesn't think and look like you. You've been taught that people hate each other. You've been taught that divisiveness is normal. You've been taught this. And so you're running a program that very, very well because you're doing exactly what you were told. And all I'm trying to do is offer you the understanding that there's another program available for you to run. And it is your optimal alignment as love. All right, now, I have so much to say. Let me think if I can keep moving through these notes here just a bit. When you fight with it, you expand it. When you relax and hold detached neutrality, you shift and you experience the space of it differently. Let me repeat that real quick. When you fight with it, whatever your space is, when you fight with it, you expand it. When you relax and hold a detached neutrality, you will shift your experience with it. Because you've shifted and changed the space in which you are connecting from field to field. When your vibration of your field alignment shifts from fight to love and neutrality, you go right into a flow state that moves right through the experience because it's not hitting it like a boulder, like the water getting stuck in the river. It's flowing. You're flowing. So this is a big part of the new field, this next sentence. The new field. The it that you're dealing with in everyday life, that you have experiential spaces with in everyday life, we all understand the it can be innumerable people, places, spaces, experiences, thought processes, whatever, right? But on the new field, and this is happening all the time, Divine One, the it will either align in a coherent flow with you, or the it will remain in its own alignment. And as you flow in yours, it will flow in it. All right? And all are offered their own individualized experience or opportunity of ascension. So not judging that the space goes the way it goes, holding that neutrality, allowing the flow, even if it's a loved one, someone close, or, you know, whatever's going on. If they aren't aligning with you in a coherent flow, and you are able to hold that space of love, knowing your connected self is fully aligned with source space and everything is unfolding in optimal alignment, you have that trust, you're leaning in, that's the resonance you're going with, right? When you're doing that, you're allowing the individualized opportunity of all to ascend. I don't want anyone to try to force me to ascend in a way that doesn't feel aligned for me. It wouldn't work. We're all energy. So every single thing we're doing is an energetic vibration. And if you try to take someone and have them ascend your way, it has to feel right to them. It has to fit for them. So I don't know if this is coming across the right way, but this helps me let people be who they are. This understanding helps me in my own journey to allow my family, my friends, my students, my clients, everybody, people I don't even know, to be who they are and experience their space of ascension their way, because they're designing it perfect for them. If it doesn't match me, I don't take it personal, because it's not my ascension, it's theirs. Right? Does that make sense? It needs to match them. Yours needs to match you. Mine needs to match me. Do we have similarities? Do we find family, soul family, light family, connective friends family that flow with us in that same vibration of alignment and have similarities like that? Absolutely. But if the spaces arise where there's a difference, if you will, in understanding or belief or whatever it is, remember a PowerPoint here for yourself is get your own lesson from the space. Don't worry about making them see it your way. Just look at it. Why did you align it? I know that's a big one, right? Because you want to convey, why don't you see what I see? Why don't you think what I think? Or maybe you don't anymore, but one of the most beneficial things we can do in a space like that is to just say, what's in this space that I brought myself? Because we're all constantly communicating with ourselves through what we're experiencing, what we're constantly designing. We're designing. And then we're aligning what we've designed for a purpose to be processed by us to assist the ascension. Now, if you don't remember anything else today, and I have a little more to share, but if you don't remember anything else, remember that love is the key. Love is the key to it all. Love for yourself, that means compassion. That means gratitude for yourself. The fact that you're here, whether you're here live or via video, you deserve to tell yourself thank you. I mean, you spent 40 some, probably by the time I get done, 1 hour of your time offering yourself higher dimensional understandings. That's pretty freaking cool. So you could give yourself a big thank you, and you could tell yourself, I love you. You know, I saw a sign today on a marquee. I was driving to get some breakfast, and I saw, and it said, God loves you. And I thought, you know what that really is saying, in my opinion, in my understanding, right? Everyone have their own. But it's saying you love yourself. If you believe that God loves you and you understand your connection to source, then you would love yourself completely. Because you are that space of yourself as much as you are this space of yourself. So remember that love is the key. Remember to give that love to yourself. And then because you've given it to you, what happens? Whatever's in the pitcher, you know, the container, whatever's in the container can then be given, if one chooses to others, because they have it to give. So if you fill yourself up with love, you are then able, when and if you choose to share that love with others by just being you. By the way you smile at somebody when you're at a traffic light, or the way you mouth hello as you're walking through a parking lot, or the way you hold your child, or you speak to your significant other, or you call your parent, or you place your hand on a tree and say thank you. However you're doing it, however you're being it, love is being able to be present in this now through you. Yes? How remarkably powerful that is to think about. Love gets to be present in this now because of you. There's so much more here. I could go for another hour or two. Oh, there's just so much coming in incredibly beautiful ways, but we are in a new vibrational space of being. We have so many humans on the planet right now that have keyed into, aligned into these understandings of love, of connected self, of unity, of neutrality. And the thing is I will say this, so no one thinks they're crazy. There is also a space where all of those of us who are living in this way, we are emanating out a wave of this vibration, right? We talk about how that works. So all of us are emanating out this wave of vibration of love, neutrality, a new way of being, remembering who we really are. We're implementing that wave of love. And at the same time, you have these old energy waves that are in that huge field we are one with. And they are ways in which things used to be. And their vibrational resonance is becoming weaker because we're no longer part of that which feeds them. Do you understand me? We used to feed them because we used to be on that field. We used to live that way, each in their own way of being it, some more, some less, some in the between. But because we're over in this vibrational state now, over here, whatever your mind needs to do to understand that, the resonant vibration of that old way is weaker. So keep that in mind, because that's a part of the equation some forget exists. And they will think that they are trying to, and this is not the most accurate word here, please know that, but they're trying to fight with something so big. Again, fight with it, expand it, right? But you holding the understanding with me, which is truth, it is truth. If you remove the energetic feeding of an alignment to a certain degree, you weaken the resonance of that alignment. It's common sense, really. It's like having 20 pillars holding up a building. You take 11 or 15 of those out, right? So just remember where you are, just remember who you are, and allow, relax. There's more relaxing to do here than ever. This field is different. This field isn't the same, work related, implementation related. This is about the beingness. You've done enough of the workingness. You really did. You're so good. You've gotten on the other side of it. You've solidified a foundation that you get to stand on now. You're not putting the building blocks in place anymore. They're there. Now you're allowing yourself to relax into what you've created and be it. Now you're allowing yourself to relax into what you've created and be it. That is the most powerful thing you can do. Whew. All right. Does anybody have any questions, comments, feedback, anything they'd like to share? I'm just being able to see some of you here, so thank you, Meredith. I see the applause. That's so sweet. You're so loving. Thank you. Your encouragement is always a blessing. Thank you. Thank you for the emojis and the hearts. Thank you so much. All right. So this was a really big space, right? Did you guys feel it too? I mean, it was a lot of information. All right. So take that into consideration and allow yourself to revisit the video and maybe just take it in sections and see what you hear the next time, because your consciousness is different than 55 minutes ago. Really, you vibrationally are resonating in your field space at a different interval of vibration than you were 55 minutes ago. So let that space of you revisit the material when you're ready. It'll be there on Patreon in about 24 hours, and then you can revisit it in however you feel to. But you're going to pick up on things at another level as you revisit, because you're another level of you revisiting the space. Yes? All right, beautiful. Thank you, Holly, for writing in. Beautiful good morning to all. And for Quantum Kate, I feel all capital letters, the difference. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Kate. Thank you. Quantum Kate, I love that. Very, very good. All right. So just, and Lindsay wrote in, me too. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you. Yes, Lindsay, I had a little hiccup with that Patreon C2C. I ended up emailing the video to everyone. I hope you received it, but for whatever reason, um, I scheduled it to go out to everyone as planned on October 1st, and it was still sitting there on like October 4th or something. So I was like, what is going on? But I had already an inner knowing and had emailed everyone a copy, which was, this is other things happening on the new field. Really listen to yourselves. You already know this. You're getting inner knowings. You're understanding spaces ahead of time. And I sent everybody the thing directly. And then that was in that tier level for that session space on Patreon. And then I found out 2 days later, it never sent. I was like, oh my gosh. And I've never emailed privately like that. So that was kind of interesting. And Sonal wrote in, thank you so much. This was such a beautiful class. Thank you, Sonal. Thank you, beautiful one. All right, holy ones, love is the key. Be that beautiful space of love for all, for yourself, yes? All right, we will amplify the heck out of that resonance. Oh, there's so much more I want to say, but I have to go. All right, I'm gonna stop. I'll connect in another way soon. All right, I love you all unendingly. I love you, I love you, I love you.
We love you.
Thank you, Holy One. Thank you for all you all are doing. Every one of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.